So on the weekend that Logan Lucky and the Hitman's Bodyguard came to our theaters, I saw the Emoji Movie. But let's first talk about Lucky Logan. So Logan Lucky marks the return of Steven Soderbergh, who directed such films as Ocean's 11 and Magic Mike. Much like Ocean's 11, this is a heist movie, but a very different heist movie compared to Ocean 11. Channing Tatum and Adam Driver are the Logan brothers, and Channing Tatum, due to an injury that he has on his leg and failed to tell his employers, is now being let go in the middle of a construction that is going on under NASCAR. But before he gets laid off, he discovers the chutes that send the money to the vault from concession stands and from all these other places in the big race NASCAR stadium. So with the help of Adam Driver, with the help of their sister, with the help of a bloke named Joe Bang, played by Daniel Craig, and his brothers, they decide to pull off a heist, steal all this money from a vault during the biggest day in NASCAR history, or of each year. I really enjoyed it. Not only was it a competent heist movie, it was slightly different in its structure, even though it does follow a lot of the same exact plot points you'd expect in a heist movie, but it's done with a little bit more class, really over-the-top comedy, really colorful characters, really funny performances, and a fairly decent little drama mixed in. Now, Steven Soderbergh, he takes some conventional ideas and puts a lot more drama and a lot more heart to them than you'd expect. Like Magic Mike, for instance. Didn't think it would be all that good of a movie, didn't think it would be a really great film, like, okay. But then I heard a lot of good things about it, so I watched it, and it did have heart, it did have a drama in it, and it was pretty compelling. I was surprised. And so when we get the first scene in this movie, I knew there was going to be drama to it. I knew there was going to be heart. I knew there was going to be something that grounds it into reality. The first scene we get in the movie, this bond with him and his daughter as he's spending quality time with her, talking about a song, how this one song came to be, this famous song that he likes, while he's working on a car, and there's this really sweet moment, and that's when I realized there's going to be a little bit more to this than just an over-the-top fun heist movie. And sure enough, every time that he's with his daughter, all the moments that he's talking with his ex-wife, and a lot of these different things that they have to deal with, while not overly dramatic and not something that is really drama-filled and full of conflict, it's something that's sweet, nice, and something that grounds the film. And that's so well handled that it almost makes the over-the-topness and the crazy characters in this movie believable. And that's really surprising seeing the trailer, because I thought this was going to be really over-the-top, really fun, really crazy. And if you expect that, well, there's a little bit difference. There's a little bit of drama. There's a little bit of groundedness to this movie that makes those moments not feel as over-the-top and crazy and baffling as they seem in the trailer. Heck, there's some moments in the trailer that looked funny, and there's a little bit more groundedness to them when you actually see them in the film, where they're placed in it. So let's talk about the acting and the characters. The performances were all really fun, really engaging, really good. I didn't find any of the performances bad. There may have been a few characters that may have screwed up a little bit with accents, but at that same time, I'm not really big on accents. I don't know a lot of accents, so something could be a completely different accent and I would have no idea, because I'm not familiar with a lot of accents. And so some people could have screwed up their accent in this movie and I would not have known. So take that as you will. I like the over-the-topness and this colorful characters of the film, But at the same time, like I said, there's some groundedness to each of the characters that I did not expect. Overall, my favorite performances, my favorite characters of the film were easily Adam Driver's character and Daniel Craig's character, Joe Bang. This really dry delivery that Adam Driver has to his character makes all the things he says really damn funny and really awesome. There's also a warden character in this movie because there is a prison escape because Joe Bang is in prison.
I am incarcerated.
And they have to get him out. And so there is prison scenes, and there's this warden that, God love him, will not admit that there's a problem in the prison if there is a problem. And that led to some really funny moments. Now, one of the things I actually liked about this film is that it really didn't have as much of a traditional heist movie structure as it did. I mean, it still goes through the same plot points, don't get me wrong. Almost every heist movie is almost the exact same. If you take away the details and look at the bare minimum, the bare bones, the bare plot points. I'm sure there's ones out there that are different, but for the most part, a lot of them are the same. One of the things that this movie didn't have compared to other heist movies is the planning element. You know, in most heist movies, you get the characters, something bad happens, they want to get revenge or they want to pull off a heist, then they get together, they have this whole plan, this whole setup, and then you see the setup in motion, then you see the planning actually happen. The plan happens, something goes awry, they win in the end, or all get captured. That kind of thing happens in the heist, but in this one, there's no planning. You see a little bit of the planning as Channing Tatum is trying to convince Adam Driver to go along with the plan. But it's really just the premise. He doesn't lay out the actual plan. And so in this movie, you go along for the ride, which actually is really great for this film because when the ending comes, you realize that you've just been going on a ride the whole time and you didn't really know the whole scope of the plan. Because there's a nice twist at the end that I kind of saw coming, but at the same time didn't quite, or it's hard to explain without giving away the details. But it really helps build that twist and realize that twist as you're like, oh, you were duped just like some other people. But unfortunately, if you want a fast-paced, really like, here's the plan, and then boom, there's the heist, or a little bit of setup and then the heist, if you're looking for that in this film, then you're not going to get it, and you might be a little bored and feel like it's slower paced. For me, I thought it was fast paced because every little scene we get more detail of the plan, and we get a little bit of a bigger picture, and it felt like I was learning something as the movie progressed every scene. It didn't feel like, oh, we know the whole plan, and then boom, we're just seeing it set up. No, it feels like we're among one of the people. We're one of the people going for the ride and joining them on the heist as it's laid out, as it's happening real time. That's one of the things I actually loved about this film. There's a lot of quotable, funny moments. There's a lot of moments that just had me laughing or just smiling the entire scene. There's this whole prison incident where the prisoners are trying to make a distraction so that other people can get away. And so by distracting the whole prison, they kidnap some of the guards, hold them hostage, and they have this whole hostage situation. The whole thing's on lockdown. And so the prisoners are given demands to the warden, and the demands, they just want their Game of Thrones books. They want the newest book for Game of Thrones. And it is hilarious. There's also this really wonderful scene, this over-the-top crazy scene where I can't imagine anyone not laughing at it. It's one of those things where it's like, how could you not find it funny? And it's over the top and crazy. It's Daniel Craig. He's making a new explosive in order to put in the chutes. And you see the moment where they put it in the chute in the trailer. But he makes it out of like bleach sticks or something like that, gummy bears, fake salt, and wrapped up in a plastic bag. And you're like, how is that going to make it explosive? And there's this whole freaking scene where he's like, all right, I'm going to explain it to you. And he starts putting on, he gets a piece of chalk and starts writing chemical compounds on the freaking brick wall. And I don't know how you could not find that funny. It was ridiculous, but it was funny. There's a lot of moments like that in this film, and a lot of things that just made it enjoyable, fun, and just entertaining as hell. Now, with that said, there are a few things that I didn't like as much with this film, things that I found a bit of issue with. One of the things I didn't find that much of an issue with was that there was really no big revenge plot. There was really no reason to actually commit this heist. Yes, he gets laid off, but he gets laid off by the construction workers working at NASCAR, sorry, not NASA, NASCAR.
Charlotte Motor Speedway.
But they're stealing from NASCAR, so it's not really like they're stealing from the construction workers, the people that laid them off, because of insurance reasons. So some people might feel that these are unlikable characters and there's no really reason for the heist, and they're just despicable people, and I can't get behind this heist. For me, I didn't mind that, but I can understand people not liking it. And at the very end, it does show that there is more character involved. There is more of a noble character within our characters, and that proves that it's not really a revenge story. It's not really despicable characters doing despicable stuff. There is heart to these characters. And there is a sort of Robin Hood-esque moment at the end. Another little thing is that even though there's a lot of characters and a lot of big stars, some of these stars are only in it for a little bit, and some of these stars feel like they don't really belong as much in this movie, and they don't really make any real impact to the overall film. Like, they could have been cut out and nothing would be missing with the film. With that in mind, I still enjoyed all the performances, but there is a few unnecessary characters that do make it a little longer. And while there is heart to the film, while there is drama, it isn't as impactful or as deep as it could have been, to help ground the movie a little more and care about the characters a little more. Now, where I do love the twist, and it does show that these characters are underdogs, and it does show that even though we don't trust them at the beginning and we don't think, oh, these guys are too dumb to pull it off, it does get to a point where we realize, oh, we underestimated them. These guys might be smarter than I think, which lends me to believe that this is not one of those movies making fun of Southern people and their accents. It's showing a different side of Southern people. It's showing a different type of heist with unlikely people to commit a heist, or that we'd expect in a big budget Hollywood movie. Ones that we don't typically see doing heists in movies like this or consider as smart people in heist movies. And it shows some admiration to the country and the region and the Southern people. Another little thing that I didn't like too much in this film is that there's at least 2, maybe even 3 scenes in this entire film. And so that is a little bit, that is a very small amount of scenes, but there's at least 3 scenes in this movie that it looks like it should have been longer. It feels like there was build-up and the scene was not finished yet, but then it gets cut off and it's like, wait, isn't there more to the scene? It feels like we're missing a whole section of dialogue at the end. So I did knock the editing a little bit because of that. And while I do like the twist and it does make sense in this movie, it could come out of nowhere to some people because, like I said, you're going along for the ride in this movie. You don't know the whole scope of the plan. And because of that, it makes it jarring, and I can see some people getting confused and not realizing what that scene actually means, or the whole scope of that scene. It's more of a 4 1/4, but my average got just high enough where I can round up to 4.5 stars. So 4.5 stars for Logan Lucky, but remember, It's more of a 4 1/4 movie for me, but I don't do quarters. I just do wholes and halves, and it's above 4 1/4, so it's just enough to round up to 4 1/2. So did you see Logan Lucky? What'd you think about it? Go ahead and comment below. And if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and check out my movie reviews of 2015, 2016, or 2017. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.